Hello and welcome to another live stream. We are live at the FSI concert here. Wow. I guess we're running a concert. It's a big conference right down here in Dallas, Texas. And I have Shannon here who has an amazing story about how she got to being in your, what is your official title now?
VP of Marketing.
VP of Marketing. All right. So we'll come back in chat here. So the VP of Marketing for what?
Flyer Financial Technologies.
Flyer Financial Technology. Okay. Before you got to Flyer, let's talk a little bit about your journey. How did you cut your teeth in financial services?
Oh my goodness. It has been a wild trajectory since I first started in the industry, gosh, almost 8 years ago now. And it's funny, my first job out of college was actually an account coordinator. And side note, that's how I met my husband, actually. He interviewed me my first job out of college. But I quickly realized that client services wasn't necessarily for me as much as I love, relationship building and meeting people and things like that. I was not destined to be an email deliverability, client services
Totally
person.
Understand that, yeah.
So I actually started doing some ghostwriting and got into some marketing initiatives there. And that's actually where I fell in love with marketing. They let me cut my teeth a little bit at that first job. And I said, okay, this is where I could maybe see myself. I am very much the creative type, not a numbers person by any means, which is kind of ironic that I ended up in financial services, but here I am. And after that job, I actually went to Investment News as a marketing coordinator. And that's really where my career started. That's where I met all my wonderful mentors like Matt Ackerman there, Mark Bruno, Suzanne Syracuse, and had a phenomenal experience there. And that's where I fell in love with video. So a lot of people in the industry know me as Gadget Girl.
Yeah.
So think Carmen Sandiego meets Inspector Gadget, but in purple, and loves fintech. So that's actually where I launched that semi-viral series, really when fintech was taking off, 2016, 2017, the industry, and folks loved it. It was a very fun, campy, but educational under the hood look at fintech firms. And it, like I said, it just took off. It was something different we weren't seeing in the space. It was a creative way to explain complex topics. So anything from data aggregation, wealth management platforms. And we did everything from renting taco trucks to surfboards to flying drones. We did some crazy things to pull off these videos, but they were a blast. And that's where I fell in love with digital media and true storytelling. So after my time at Investment News, which was almost 5 years, and got to see all sides of marketing, from the email marketing, events planning, digital media. So I got to see, all sides of it. And I actually, after I left there, I went to Asset TV and I was a host for them for their fintech series. And so I did all of the programming for them, interviewed all the guests. They had a full-blown studio. That's all they did. It was a blast, but I wasn't there too long because an opportunity came up, and my colleague and I from Asset TV left, and we went to Medici Global, which was, as it's in the name, it was global fintech and much more in the banking and payment space, which blew my mind a little bit because it was a narrow world in financial services. So this opened me up to a lot more opportunities, a big learning curve. I loved it. We helped Medici launch their entire video platform. So that's really when people were still dabbling with video, deciding if it was a good investment. It is, side note, always do video and podcasts, obviously. And from there, we launched the platform. I had the opportunity to actually travel all over the world, spent a lot of time in Asia, learning about the Latin American markets, the Asian markets, and how they all are coming together in this big globalization of tech, essentially, and how now we can work with anyone, anywhere, anytime. So that was a really, really fun, cool experience. Then I came back home a little bit after Medici, and I went to Robust Wealth, where I became their digital marketing manager. And they were a true wealth management platform for advisors. So like I said, came home a little bit to that, cut my teeth in marketing, dug into true digital marketing a little bit more. I said, look, I need to hone these skills much more, as much as it fun as it is playing host and creating content. I also need to understand the analytics, what's, customer journeys, what's driving folks to make decisions. And B2B marketing and sales is a very different animal than B2C. So,
man, yeah.
So, after Robust Wealth, I came to Flyer. I've been here about 5 months or so already as their VP marketing, and they've actually never had an in-house marketing person. So it's been a really fun challenge and learning experience and growth opportunity for me, because I'm helped navigating the brand, building it up, building the presence, creating awareness within the space, and then Obviously I have leads generation
Sure.
tied to my role. So that's new for me. But it's been fantastic being part of a company that's really open and willing to try new things. So I'm pushing a lot of new content ideas, trying to get our name out there more. So it's been a great journey thus far, and you'll definitely be seeing Flyer's name a whole lot more in the industry, hopefully.
So with Gadget Girl, right? We hear a lot about just tech and women specifically. What has been your experience there?
Honestly, I've been very, very lucky because I've had a lot of champions and mentors within the space. So almost everywhere I've gone, I've had someone either helping me or coaching me or helping me navigate what can be a very complex world. So I can't obviously speak for others, but my experience has been positive. People are very excited to see female faces at conferences, on camera, and just making sure we have that representation. So I've been lucky enough to work with a lot of folks who are aware of it, that women need these champions. We need to get more women in the space, because let's be honest, it's still at the end of the day a male dominated industry.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that. Most industries are, but it is encouraging to see new up and coming folks coming in, sharing ideas, starting new businesses, having new ideas, because you really need that diversity to really be proactive and push forward and be a change maker. You need to have all those different perspectives, I believe. So like I said, I've been very, very lucky and grateful for my experience in up and coming, because I've always been able to lean on someone, or someone's always had my back. I look at, Matt Ackerman, I mentioned him earlier. We've both changed jobs multiple times, but somehow we always find each other. Like, we're here together.
He's
obviously
good people.
He is. And I've just been so lucky that I've been able to surround myself with people like that, who I know are going to be an advocate for me. I'm going to be an advocate for them, because that's what it's really all about. And I think people are recognizing more and more, especially during the pandemic, there is something to be said for that human connection. At the end of the day, it's who you know, where you know them. And if you're willing to help them, they're willing to help you. And that has honestly gone a long way. That's my biggest career advice, is never burn any bridges wherever you are, because you never know who you might need to lean on or fall back on eventually.
All right. So you're at a lot of these conferences and you are squarely within the world of tech. What should we be paying attention to?
I would say we're still seeking that holy grail of the one-stop shop platform, especially for advisors, because even though we've seen a lot of M&A, a lot of consolidation, there's still a long ways to go in our industry. And financial services is notorious for being a little behind other industries, but that's okay. We're getting there. Going to all these conferences, it's encouraging to see things like AI, focusing on ESG, on natural language processing, and all this new technology that maybe 5-10 years ago people would say, absolutely not. I don't want to get my hands on that. That's too much to learn. But we're really in a phase right now, and for lack of a better term, it's reinvent or die. If you're not technology forward, if you're not adopting and building out best of breed tech stacks, to service your clients at the end of the day, you're going to have a hard time retaining them. You're going to have a hard time servicing them. And that's just the reality that we're at right now. And so you're seeing a lot of these larger, legacy firms, especially when it comes to like banks and big firms, they're still very hesitant, because it is, at the end of the day, a heavy lift. They've settled into their legacy technology. And boy, is it hard to untangle when you have servers everywhere. You're not in the cloud yet. You're not as nimble. You're not as flexible. It's not easy to scale. And so folks really need to be focusing on that moving forward if they're going to be able to grow at the end of the day.
All right. So how does Flyer fit into all of this shameless plug opportunity?
Well, I hope I get it right. No, I'm kidding. So we actually were Fix Flyer, and we've recently rebranded to Flyer Financial Technologies. And we did that because people were thinking we were just entrenched in infrastructure. We were in the background, making sure we had, basically, think of us as the runway between advisors to their custodians. We are the ones making that fixed connection. And people thought that's all we did, but we don't. We have a whole network that connects to hundreds of brokers and custodians. So you can have multiple strategies, multiple brokers, custodians. And so at the end of the day, we've branched out to become a true, OMS and portfolio management trading system. At the end of the day, we're servicing portfolio managers, advisors, asset managers, who need trading capabilities.
Okay.
And we make it as simple as possible for them to be able to do that quickly in a very scalable way, because the issue we're seeing is a lot of portfolio managers having trouble scaling their portfolios at the end of the day, whether it's technology, something holding them back, because they need to be saying, is my technology enabling me to execute my investment strategies as quickly as possible in a safe, secure way?
Mm-hmm.
So we're at the end of the day, trading is in our DNA.
Gotcha. All right. Outside of, so I want to just take one brief step back into
Sure.
the world of marketing.
Yeah.
You have not only successfully marketed yourself virally, which was really cool. I remember those videos, by the way.
I still have the purple trench coat and
That's
fedora. It's still hanging in the
awesome.
closet.
With that, what do you think you learned in your world of marketing to financial advisors that financial advisors need to know about marketing?
If you can get it, get help, because it is a full-time job. It is. Advisors have so much going on. They already wear so many hats. They've not only become a financial advisor, they've essentially become a life coach, borderline therapist.
Mhm.
Especially during COVID, you're seeing all this market volatility, and marketing is oftentimes one of those things that gets put to the side because it can seem very overwhelming.
Mm.
And so you really need to nail your value proposition and be able to market to those folks. And that's an issue I'm still seeing, is people are servicing anyone and everything.
Yes.
But you really need to have that value proposition defined before you can even consider start going down the path of email marketing and social. What's your identity? Who are you? Who do you serve? You have to make that very, very clear up front. And so especially for folks just starting out, what's your differentiator? And then use that, lean into that heavily. Everything you create should be around that messaging, right?
Okay.
And so I've just seen so many advisors over the years, they just get so overwhelmed. They're like, we just outsource it. We just get the bare minimum done. We have some email campaigns. We tweet it every now and then or put out an article, but you really need to have a consistent cadence and content. And that's one thing I've learned, not only because of Google and SEO and things like that, but it builds trust and credibility with your audience. And so while a lot of people start gung-ho and crank out all sorts of content in the beginning, a lot of times I've seen it kind of just fizzle out because it's a lot of work. So if you have the ability, definitely hire somebody with that skill set. But if you can't, you have to just take it one step at a time, value proposition, and then branch out from there. You need to meet people where they are now today. So whether it's social, whether it's email, whether it's video, you need to have a pretty robust content strategy to, like I said, build that credibility and trust with folks.
If somebody wants to reach out and find more about Flyer, what do they do?
Call me. No, I'm kidding. You can absolutely head to our website at flyerft.com and check it out. You can tweet at me at Shannon Rosic or at flyerft on Twitter. So we are reachable on social media platforms, and we'd obviously love to hear from you.
Well, Shannon, thank you very much for everything that you do, not only for Flyer, but you've done for our industry, bringing tech to the forefront so that people could understand it in a fun and very approachable way, because technology is overwhelming, and I think you did a great job with that.
Appreciate that.
All of the stuff you guys are doing at Flyer sounds absolutely fantastic. And so for everybody at Advisorpedia, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much, Matt.